Just wanted to talk about this Google memo that was going around. So there's a guy, James Damore, he worked for Google. He wrote a memo about diversity and some of the issues that were happening there. And it kind of blew up on the social media and the news and stuff like that. And one of the things they got hung up on was he mentioned neuroticism, that women had a higher level of neuroticism. And that's actually a technical term. There's these 5 personality traits. So neuroticism kind of refers to anxiety, worry, fear, and stuff like that. So people have different, levels of agreeableness and things like that. So that's kind of what people focused on, and he was sort of seen as a misogynist. And really, what he was saying was there's a few issues. Google has they set up these diversity seminars and things, and they're trying to get more diversity, especially men and women. More equal representation. And he actually made a bunch of suggestions in there about how to improve the workplace to make them, the workplace more attractive to getting females to work there. But everybody kind of blew up on, stuff that he was saying. And they were kind of implying that, maybe women aren't as good in computers programming as men and stuff like that. And he's done a whole bunch of interviews, so if you want to check him out and see what he actually said, you should also read the memo. I'll put a link in the description below. But he actually got fired, and to me that was kind of a PR thing. There's a lot of pressure on companies to be politically correct and stuff like that. But I wanted to talk about what the issue is as far as my understanding, and something that they don't really talk about too much that I've seen in the interviews, because people get hung up on, say, genetic differences between males and females. So there is some science. Obviously, there's some differences between men and women. Part of it's the testosterone hormone, and the estrogen differences. So that's the nature-nurture aspect. But a lot of people they didn't talk too much in these discussions about the environmental issues, like the nurture aspects. And I think that's where things can be altered quite a bit. So first point I want to make is that when a company wants to hire people and they're looking for the best type of people, so the most qualified candidates, you shouldn't really be looking at any other aspects. Just if you're a programmer, you got to be good at programming. But the problem is, if you decide you're going to, say, have a certain matching percentage of males and females, you need to draw from a pool of people that would have that same representation. Now, obviously, there's roughly 50-50 women and men, but there's not 50% programmers, male and female, at the same levels. So you have a lot more men in programming, like from universities, that you can choose from. So my point is that at that point, it's not really feasible for the company to try to get those equal, because the pool they're drawing from as far as programmers goes is not at 50-50. So what we need to do is go look at the educational system for one, and sort of improve and encourage women even from day one. Like if let's say, for example, men or boys play with Tonka trucks and erector sets and stuff like that, and Lego, and women, let's say Barbie dolls or something. If the parents are encouraging that, then there are definitely things to improve right from day one all the way through, and encouraging girls to get into math and science and computer programming and engineering and stuff like that. So my point is that you want to encourage and look at the education system all the way up through, so that you do end up with that roughly same level of programming, programmers or STEM degrees, whatever you want to call it, science, technology, engineering, math, and have an equal pool, so that you've sort of dealt with it from an earlier point than just trying to fix it at the point when you're actually going to have to discriminate and potentially lower your standards for what you're looking at. And then the other major point that I want to bring up is I'm pretty sure that there's issues for women who don't feel comfortable in some of these environments that are male dominated. Like, they may be discouraged in a sense to go into another field. So they might go into it and then not like the environment, if there's any kind of sexual harassment or the male dominated culture, some of the issues that can happen, jokes and stuff. But I think there's a lot more to it than that. I think that's part of it. I think there's definitely improvements that can be made to make sure that everybody's welcome and treated properly. But the education system on getting women, girls into math and science and computers and everything, and encouraging them. I know a certain girl here and there who's been pretty good at math or computers at a certain point, and then for some reason they went off and went into psychology or women's studies or other types of things. So looking into those situations and trying to encourage them to stay in those fields, I think is important. But it's just kind of sad overall. But the fact that Google did this is kind of a trend that is getting really bad, where it's very identity politics oriented, and all these groups everyone's looking at each other as a group. You're male, you're female, you're white, you're black, you're whatever the group is, and then looking at how they've been oppressed or negatively affected. And I'm trying to encourage with this channel to get back to the individual, so evaluating everybody as an individual. And we all start out at different points. We have different abilities in different areas. Some people are good at sports, some people are good in math, some people are good in creative arts. And we all start at a certain point, and we can improve from there. So just empowering the individual to get the training, the education in whatever they're interested in pursuing, and giving them that freedom to pursue those interests, and to get away from the group think and the group policies and the focus on different groups. I think that's dangerous. And things, society seems to be breaking down a lot. Free speech, if you don't like an opposing view, if you don't want to hear a conservative speak, they're shutting down people from speaking on campuses. And so I see a whole bunch of signs in society that are kind of scaring me. The debts, the national debts that governments have, the spending, all sorts of issues. And I just want to be able to start commenting on this. So, and it's, just a rational thing, nothing crazy. I'm hoping people can just think about it. So I definitely encourage girls, women to go into engineering, math, computers. It's a great field, very well paid. And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with artificial intelligence and some of this, the digital cryptocurrencies, and so lots of great stuff to get into. And I encourage, women, girls, everybody to go into these types of fields, because it's a very, forward-looking field and lots of opportunities. So hope you guys like that. We'll talk to you later.